Hey, folks, welcome back to the Land Fixer podcast. I am your host, Logan Swanson, where we talk all things land, land related things, things that land is about, and land. That's all we talk about is land. We do have an excellent guest. Actually, I think my first repeat guest. This is exciting. We have Eric with Vacant Realty Group. Say hi to everybody.
Hey, Logan.
Hey,
Great to
hey,
be back.
welcome. Yes,
Hello,
sir.
everybody.
Today we're going to be going into part two regarding our development project we have going on here in Tennessee. And before we get to that, folks, remember that if you're looking to buy or sell land, you need to go to primelandexchange.com. In fact, if you go to the property section of primelandexchange.com, there's a really cool banner there that's going to point you to our project. You'll be able to go look at the website and everything like that. These lots are selling fast. We'll talk more about it. But if you are interested, go check them out. We are signing contracts right now. So, yes, if you're looking to buy or sell, if you need funding for your land deals, your land developments, things like that, go to landpartnerfunding.com. If you have land that you want to work with me to develop, subdivide, sell, partner, JV on, whatever it might be, you can reach me at thelandfixer@gmail.com. All right, all that being said, Eric, welcome back. We are excited to have you. Give us that quick 30-second review of who you are in case folks haven't heard of you before.
Yes, my name is Eric Smith again. I am with Vacant Realty Group. I've been in the land investing space for, I guess, directly the past 4 years or so. About 15 plus years ago, I had some initial experience, which kind of introduced me to the space, but been plugging away for the last 4 years or so with just some basic flips. And then we just this past year got into our first subdivide.
Boom. And that's where we're at today. What's that subdivide called?
It is Piney Creek Acres in Cumberland County, Tennessee.
Sweet. And so we do have a first episode where we kind of covered the fundamentals and the first phases of this subdivision. So go check that one out. But give us a little overview of the project as far as maybe how you ran into it, how we started doing a little bit of the initial steps, and then that'll kind of lead us into where we're at today.
Yeah, so this opportunity came through a partnership that we had with a local broker, and it was just posted on the MLS, and we fortunately were able to snag it up, put it under contract right away. It's a little over 300 acres, and it one thing that attracted us was the convenient location that it offers right off of I-40. It's just a few minutes off of I-40. I-40 connects to Knoxville, which is about 45 minutes away, Nashville, which is about 2 hours west, and then you have Chattanooga about an hour and a half south. So there's really good highway access to this property, and we were able to break this up. One positive thing with Cumberland County is it offers exemptions. So if you keep all the lot size, 5+ acres, it qualifies as what's called an exempt subdivision. So you basically bypass the county approval process, having to go through those steps, and you can kind of fast track it to the development stage, which is what we've been working on for the past year or so. Getting the initial infrastructure set up, the permits to be able to go in and cut the roads, which I think is where we left off on the last podcast. We're just getting ready to break some dirt and get the road contractor started. So he's been plugging away, getting the first phase completed, and we've been rocking and rolling with the marketing and sales since.
Beautiful. Now, we were talking a little bit before we started recording, but everybody says that these subdivides are just so simple, right? It's no problem. You call a surveyor. And it's actually funny, the episode that I just published a couple days ago, I was talking with someone and we were talking about how simple some subdivisions can be. And the key distinction between this subdivision and other ones that, folks might be able to do if it's their own farmland is going to be how much county road frontage there is. Okay. So, how much county road frontage do we have for this project, and how has that affected us?
Um, so we have road frontage, but the access point to the property was one challenge that we ran into. Right around the closing time, it came to surface that there was no legal access to this property. which, in order to create a subdivision and sell the lots, those buyers are probably going to want legal deeded access to it. So that's been one thing we've been able to, kind of work through over the past year, getting that process moving and all the regulatory bodies that are involved in that to be able to grant us the access. And and it wasn't just one body. We had to go through the city of Rockwood, which is where it's located, to get their city approval for the easement. And in order for them to grant the easement, they needed the approval from TDOT. Well, there's an airport across the street. So we first had to go through TDOT Aeronautics to get their stamp of approval. And then the final step that we're completing right now is the actual TDOT access permit to kind of complete this out. So we were brought in a civil engineer to help us with just this main access point to get that package completed to the best of our ability to hopefully, get this moving and taken care of.
Yeah, and we don't have enough frontage to just subdivide off that frontage, right? So we have to run a road all the way through the project, and we have some wetlands on the project. So running a road in means that it triggered a review from the TCEQ, or what is it? What entity?
Tennessee
TDEC.
Department of Environmental and Conservation.
Yeah, so we had to get a environmental or wetland study, right? That
Yep.
was kind of a long process, but really cool. I don't know if anyone's ever sat and really picked through. How many pages was that? It was like 40-page
Yeah, and it wasn't
study.
just TDEC, it was the Army Corps as well.
Yeah.
So there's two bodies that were kind of involved in that process. So we had a couple different packages. We had to get two permits from TDEC, one from Army Corps, and definitely some moving pieces there initially that we had to work
Yeah,
through.
right. So that, that's we spent a fair bit of time in that process. And then we started, I guess once that was done, we could really start cutting in roads, right? That's what we were ultimately waiting on. And then while we went through engineering the roads, right? And we had kind of a couple iterations on that engineering, right? What was the first iteration? Maybe what sort of pushback did we give that engineer?
It was primarily the number of lots, that we started with. We had to cut it down to what made sense because feedback we got from the broker is long, narrow lots wouldn't sell. They're going to take a long time to sell. So we had to spend some time to really organize the subdivision so it made sense. And these potential buyers, would have a lot that's, at the very least, a shape, that's attractive to them and something that they're able to work with. Um, and then it was just a matter of getting the roads to work with the property itself. One nice feature with this property is there were some old logging roads. So there's one main road that kind of split right down the center of the property. So we were able to work that in, kind of as our main road through the subdivision. And then we have some side roads that we were able to work in as well. And it all just kind of came together, with the lot shapes and the positioning of the lots and the roads obviously had to work with all of that as well.
Yeah, and we were lucky enough that our broker was already in contact and works with a really high quality road contractor. And we were able to, show him those engineered plans before we submitted them. And he said, hey, sections of this are over engineered. I think we could really save costs by doing this, this, and this. So it's a really good idea to have a sort of on the ground road contractor that's going to be able to tell you where you can maybe modify your plans before submitting in order to save money. Because the governing entity, is going to come and inspect the road, is going to say, hey, if you've spec'd it to this point and then you under deliver, it looks really bad, right? Whereas if you just kind of spec it appropriately and then deliver upon that, everybody's great, everybody's happy, and so it was really great. We have Adam, our road contractor down there, who is boots on the ground. He's been involved in the project really since the beginning, and it's been incredible being able to work with him and rely on his experience with the terrain, the soil, being on site, knowing where the road's going to go. All of those things I think's really helped us. Um, so we got to the point when we were ready to break ground on the road work, which is a huge point. And I guess that was what, late or mid-August? When did we start doing roads? No, it was
It was
before
beginning
that.
of August.
Yeah, beginning of
First part of
August.
August. Hmm.
And we phased the road construction. So a lot, okay, so the reason we're going into all these details is a lot of people, maybe it's their own project that it's their family's land they're considering developing, or it's other land investors who are, considering buying a project like this. Um, you really make a project viable a lot of the times just in how you organize it, whether it's organizing the financing, organizing how the money's being spent, what work's getting done, all this sort of stuff. So when we were talking with our road contractor, we have 25 lots, is it 25, 24 lots,
27.
27 lots. And if you go to my website, you can go check out, or you go to pineycreekacres.com, right? And then you can
Hmm.
go check out the map there and you can see how the road's all laid out. But we approached our road contractor and we're like, "Hey, how much is this road going to cost?" And initially, we were looking at what, like 300,000 or 400,000, something like that.
Initially, right out of the gate,
Yeah,
I think we were right around 500K.
yeah. So then, after we do some engineering, he comes back, and this is really standard, right? Your kind of initial ballpark back of the napkin math is going to be sometimes conservative, or just it's only loosely informed. You really have to go through a whole process to find out what some of these things are going to cost. So we kind of anticipated it could go up, but after the engineering, we get back around 800,000. I think is the total cost of road work now,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of road. And if we
About
have a
2 miles,
ton, yeah, 2 miles of road, and we are removing a ton of trees. I mean,
thousands.
thousands of trees in order to put this road in. It's a 50-foot wide
Hmm.
easement, 30-foot wide road. Is that what we ended up
Hmm.
doing? Yep.
Yep.
And then we have V ditches on either side. We have everything spec'd, so it's going to drain well. We're going to have like 8 inches of crushed, or what does he call it? We do crushed concrete here on our roads in Texas, but he calls it
Crush and run.
crush and run. I think it's pretty much the same product, but
Yeah.
um. So, anyways, the cost goes up, not a big deal, but in order to make sure that we're going to be able to afford that and the money flows right through the project, we're like, hey, let's phase the road. All right. So, or really, we phased the whole subdivision. So you can kind of only sell the properties that are roughly finished. They have good road going to them. Um, so we split it up initially into 3 phases, right?
Initially, it was three. Now I think we're just keeping it at 2 phases. We have the first phase, which is nearing completion, and then we'll have the second phase will roll out following. And one other thing I just want to add is we were also able to work out with the road contractor a lot trade to bring that cost down in terms of what our total cost is for the road development.
Yeah, and that's really kind of awesome in two ways because one, lowers our price a little bit, or at least our out-of-pocket costs. But two, it plants our road guy in the subdivision, so he gets I don't know, he might see it as a benefit, but I'm sure it's just going to be a chore to maintain that road forever. But he signed up for it. He's getting the land, so we have our in-house guy. Also, and kind of, this is a little unique. I haven't done this before, but when we were kind of looking at the wetlands and where the road's going to run and the usability of some of the lots, we did determine we should put a park, right? We're putting a park in along the wetlands, and our road contractor is going to do that for us. So, sort of some added value there. What's that going to be like?
Yeah, so that's just another selling point that we have. We were able to revise the site plan to include this community park space, where we'll have a couple um, park benches there, and we'll have mulch around it and some trails. So, it's a place where people can go walk their dogs. They can, kind of coordinate gatherings or whatever, but it's a space that, otherwise would be wasted or, unbuildable, unusable, that we're able to, kind of create some positivity around it.
Yeah, and it's an interesting solution too, right? Because I think our initial idea was like, well, we'll just kind of use that as junk land and kind of make one lot bigger or something, or whatever lot that
Mm-hmm.
is going to be cheaper. So kind of however we weighed it, we were kind of applying no value to that area. And sometimes it's even almost a negative value if you're trying to sell it because you don't want that one last ugly lot sitting in inventory, nor do you really want any lot that's lower in price because then some people are going to comparatively analyze price per acre and things like that. So we're like, why don't we just make it a feature? I thought that was a brilliant idea. It's not going to cost, it's not like we're putting in, swing sets and things like that. It's just going to be, altering the terrain, making it pretty, making a nice jogging path through there. And it's going to really kind of make the community feel more community-ish as opposed to just a bunch of big lots. So that's really cool. So how is the road work gone? Okay, so we started in August. We're a few months in. I would say what would you say, like 60% complete on roads? I mean, that first phase really was a big chunk.
Yeah, it's about 60-70% of the total road development that we're looking at here. But we're able to get a, a larger majority of lots out of this. It's go it as far as completed lots with roads, we're at 15 now. So we have 15 lots there for the first phase, and then the remaining lots will be part of the second phase. Um, but the great thing is it's drawn interest for this other phase. We haven't actually released this other phase yet, or actively marketed it. But just the fact of people um, becoming attracted to Piney Creek, becoming aware of it, going to the website, they're drawing an interest and they're looking at the site plan, and they're finding themselves at other lots, that are more appealing, and they're not really looking for the roads to be in. They're
Hmm.
I think with having that first phase completed, and the quality of road that we have there, that's kind of selling this second phase, in itself.
Yeah, and one kind of why I would consider a key feature in how we're doing the road, not only is it like spec'd well and we have a good guy building it, but whenever you're looking at spending that much money on anything, y'all, I guess, are you in Chicago? You just moved. Where did?
Yeah, just moved back to the Chicago area.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you're in Chicago. Where's Ryan? You're
He's
Ryan.
down in Florida.
Okay, so he's in Florida. Me and my partner, we're here in Dallas. So everyone who's really in charge of this project is nowhere near the project. So we went through a little bit of back and forth on the best way on how we could work with the contractor, ensure that we were going to get quality work done. And it was actually my wife Alyssa who had the brilliant idea of just like, hey, have a droner, like an independent third-party droner, go in once a week and just check on the progress, right? So we're not relying on the contractor to like drive around and take what could be selective pictures or worse off, not have anything and just kind of be completely faith bound to whatever this road contractor is doing. Um, and that had two benefits, right? It gave us a lot of comfort in working with that, and really with Adam after. I don't know. You guys had a lot of trust with him because you worked with him so much, but us being kind of the money side of the deal, we had to be a little more reticent and dig through it a little bit. But really, after that first week or two, we are like, okay, this guy's incredible. Like, we don't, there's no need for concern. But the beauty of having that drone footage is now you have this like really cool marketing piece as well, where people can come in and kind of watch the story of the development, the trees going down, the gravel rolling in, the big machines operating. One point of concern, all the burning, like we've had to burn a bunch of trees, which is kind of a bummer. We were really hoping that we could get them moved off to a lumber yard, but no lumber yard was willing to take them, I guess. That's kind of incredible. Even for free, they weren't willing to remove them. Um, but so tell us, we started marketing in earnest, I guess, when? End of August? Beginning September? I mean, I know we were doing a little bit of sort of pre-marketing before then, but
Yeah, the first step with the marketing was getting the website built up, just so
Mhm.
we could have a place for people to go get an understanding of what's coming, kind of create a picture of Piney Creek Acres, really highlight the location. We found somebody on Fiverr that put together this really great detailed video, that, tied in the hotel or the hotels, the highways, and the nearby cities, and then how it relates to where our property is located, and then how it's going to be broken up. And then we were able to tie in the drone footage to that to actually flip to an aerial view of the community. And that was powerful in itself, with us not being there, as you mentioned, being able to see this road construction coming together. It helped us there, but it also gave the potential buyer, an understanding of what's coming, that the roads are going in, and it really just added so much life to the development. As soon as we started cutting these roads through, that's really when, that um, that true picture started to kind of come together. Um,
Yeah, and really
and
that's one of the hardest parts about selling and marketing land. I've done it, trust me, like just selling 10 acres of densely wooded property. It's so hard. Like people are like, yeah, you can go check out the property. They drive up to it, they stand at the edge and they just see trees. I mean, there's no, but when you start cutting in a road, people start seeing the vision of how you can improve the property. And I think, or our broker on the ground there, John, um, he is very gifted at he's got the gift of gab, let's just say that. And he does a really good job of expressing kind of that like dreamy vision of what you can do with this property. He is excellent at selling the way in which you can transform this whatever 5, 10 acre property. Put the road in here. This is gonna be perfect. You're not gonna have any issue with the utilities. There's water flowing all over the property. It's just he does such a good job of explaining these things, which is not a given. So you kind of put those two things together, and I think that's why we're seeing a bunch of success right now in leads converting into contracts. So um, perfect. You got the website together. We started to get some content going, and then yeah, I think you're running Facebook ads and things like that to really start driving traffic.
Yeah, we went heavy into Facebook. The great thing with Facebook is there's all these niche groups that are
Mhm.
there, these communities of people looking for whatever it may be, and we were able to tap into those directly. So the Tennessee land groups were powerful for us, to be able to create ads and content and plug it right in there, so that we can reach this audience that we're going after. Another great thing with Facebook ads is you can pick your target area, and we knew just from data that we were seeing is a lot of potential buyers, interested individuals were located in blue states. So California, Illinois, New York. So we're able to tap into those markets, with our marketing. And also, take a step further, there's a really nice private airport across the street, Rockwood Municipal Airport. So to be able to tap into some of these private aviation groups, and we have one buyer, that's just that. I mean, he said this is his dream property, exactly what he wanted, to be able to fly his plane in, and have a house right there. So, it,
Yeah, and that is a very big deal for a lot of people. I really had no idea, but the private plane owning group, I don't know, they are very serious. And I actually have a friend of mine who's in our local land investing group here in Dallas, and he's a pilot, and he loved these little communities, and he started pointing them out to me. You go to really any major city and you will start seeing these things where there's a landing strip surrounded by a bunch of like high-end homes. This is not abnormal. This is like people go out of their way to find this. And some people want it closer to a city, some people want it more rural. So there's like all sorts of variations. So this is really cool. Now it did add that little bit of a headache because like we can't really fly a drone very easily next to the airport. And I think there's even maybe restrictions on how close you can build to it. Is that correct?
right across the street there is, but we were able to position the lots to, kind of avoid any restrictions or limitations there.
Yeah, so not a big deal, but it does show you that any property, if you're paying attention enough, you will be able to find maybe out of the box marketing avenues. And that's really cool that those are actually coming to fruition. The other one is we've got that big motorsports area, right, nearby.
Yeah, Flat Rock Motorsports, big Formula One, and member-based track, which is kind of something unique about it. Is people can have a membership there, and they can take their sports car and use the facility, run it around the track, and enjoy their car.
Yeah, so another big attraction just right close by. So I've got the website, we got the lead flow coming in. We're kind of identifying a couple different unique marketing areas, and then what? It's just like schedule an appointment with John, and he's the closer. Is that how it's been going so far?
Well, I mean, to be fully transparent here, like we rolled our marketing out. We had some buyer list that was building up. We were feeling good about it. And it was that, the crickets chirping. We thought,
Yeah.
the floodgates were going to open and people, were just going to be fighting to sign up for these lots. And it wasn't happening. We had some site visits going on. We had no shortage of people reaching out, inquiring. A big question that we were getting is, what are the restrictions? What are the
Mm.
restrictions? Is there an HOA? And we had our messaging at the time, that there's restrictions to protect the integrity and character of the community, and protect your property value and investment. Yes, there's an HOA to make sure, that your property is protected, and just people weren't buying it. It wasn't sticking with most. So we made a simple change of lightening the restrictions because we were asking for feedback, and trying to get from these interested people, what they wanted, their community to have. And a big thing that we heard is no HOA. Even if we had the best messaging that there is to go with it, and that there's nothing but positive things, it's just the label alone, for these buyers that are looking for vacant land in Tennessee, it's a turnoff. And having 22 restrictions, and a lot of these were basic common sense restrictions, that really weren't, from our viewpoint, that big a deal. It was a turnoff. So we went back to work on breaking these down, and really, what core restrictions do we want? What do these potential buyers want to see? And a big one, and we basically were able to cut it down to, I think we're at 7 now. We went from like 22 down to 7. And a big one is no mobile homes, which we get no pushback on that. I mean, that's just essentially a buyer that we don't want the community. They're not a fit for Piney Creek Acres. And all of the signed contracts we have, everybody was pleased, that is one of the restrictions. And then, there's some other basic ones, 50-foot buffer zone kind of around the property boundary to protect, just to give each property some privacy, and some protect the integrity there. We have a small minimum square footage, and that's pretty much it. The others are all pretty basic. And as soon as we made that change, the sign up started happening. And a big key piece of this was getting people on the property. We were able to get some reservations submitted, but the magic really happened when they're able to get on the ground, put boots on the ground, as they say, meet with John, and John could, work his magic, just expressing the vision for each lot and where the home would go, and people were able to truly appreciate the peacefulness that the property offers.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of people might be surprised to hear that we were at kind of the end stages here in marketing and we had not finalized those restrictions. And that was, like you said, it was really intentional. We wanted to spend some time testing the market to understand what people were gonna be like, oh, no, 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 no. And did we end up going with a POA or an HOA as the structure for how these are going to be installed on the lots?
Yeah, so POA.
Yeah. And that's also going to be responsible for maintaining the road.
Yep.
Yep. So you make the restrictions as light as possible or in such a way that you're going to get the least pushback and test the market, and boom, all of a sudden we start seeing conversions after they visit. So that's incredible. Yeah, I think the past few weeks we've had a flurry of contracts. We have our first one at title to close next week, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah.
30th.
Yeah. And man, it's really cool. Yeah, you get to that point when you're in a subdivision project where you hit market and you think you have everything perfect, and that crickets, man, it sits in your stomach, and you're like, no. But
Yeah.
it's really cool once you start seeing the lots sell, and a lot of people I've heard don't want to be the first people to buy a lot. So sometimes they're fence sitting, waiting to see if anyone's going to make the first move. And some people I've heard will sometimes just mark lots as sold. I'm not saying we did that. We did not do that. But I know people will do such things in order to make it seem like you're not the first one making the purchase. But so that's really cool,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, we're at the point where it's like things are really rolling now, right?
Yeah, we're in a good place. It's good to be on this side, of the developing and the sales side of it. And like you said, that first one, it seems like it doesn't matter what it is. That first one's always the most difficult to get. And and we even had questions, from potential buyers. Am I the first one? Is anybody else signed up yet? So, and as you mentioned, as soon as we had that first one under contract, then the rest started to fall. But it was a solid process, just kind of starting with letters of intent, just getting something signed, something executed on paper. And then, as you mentioned, just recently we've worked on converting those LOIs to purchase agreements. And right now we have all, which is 8 total, that are executed purchase agreements. And we have one LOI, I think, outstanding, we're still working on.
Yes, that's incredible. So then we're just about at a year, right? So we're at 12 months in.
Yeah, yep. And We're about at that seller note now. I think
Hmm.
we're just about there to have the note paid off. And one great thing we've been able to do is leverage this issue we had with the access. And the
Hmm.
seller's been generous with giving us time. They've been understanding, allowing us to, kind of work through that to get this piece solved and, give us the time to accommodate that.
Beautiful. Well, good. We're about at our time limit here. Is there any other things that you think are interesting that stand out to you that we should bring up on this pod? I think we'll probably have one more once everything's sold, kind of the rear view mirror looking at things. But what do you think? Anything that stands out?
Lots are selling fast. Go to
Yeah,
pineycreekacres.com for more information. Reach
yeah,
out. Love to give anybody some more info if they're interested. Get that site
yeah.
visit scheduled.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Yep. Well, cool. Eric, thank you for your time. Folks, we will, like I said, probably have one more where we do a full review of how everything went. And really, be as completely clear and honest about the entire process as possible. This is considered a minor exempt subdivision. And even this, we're a year in. This is not a small project. I manage very little of it. It's all Eric and Ryan. You guys are the ones doing everything and John on the ground and Adam running the machine. But um, these are more complicated than people often give them credit. Yes, there is a version that is very simple, and if you can find those, that's great. But for the most part, you do still have to do a fair bit of work to get these big projects underway. So we're excited to see more contracts. We're excited to see everything wrap up. Eric, thank you again for your time, folks. If you're looking to buy or sell land, go to primelandexchange.com if you need funding for your next development. I'm actually talking to you, Eric. If you need funding for your next development, go to landpartnerfunding.com. We're ready to get started. If this one wraps up, we need to have the next big one lined up. So, folks, we're taking applications right now. If you are interested in working with me, JV, you're looking to get your own land developed or subdivided or anything like that, or you just want to talk geek about land, you can reach out to me at thelandfixer.com. I'll send you my cell phone number. I'm always on the phone. Eric, thank you. We will talk soon. Folks, bye bye.